Hey, we're live.
About time. It's only taken you about 25 minutes. And now we're cut down.
If I didn't have to record or download a new software, this would be a very different story. So what's up, dude?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. So before the show, you were trying to beat my dog, I noticed.
Beat your dog? I don't think I was. Your dog was harassing me. You know? But
Yeah.
no. Welcome. This is our new pod.
Headquarters
Headquarters in yours.
with the turkey,
Yeah, with the turkey in a
which you don't even know the answer yet. You asked me. It is real.
Mm-hmm.
The head is not. But I killed that 3 years ago. It was my first turkey ever, and wanted to commemorate a lot of my firsts, you know. So
It's bizarre. I'll tell you
it's
that.
it's cool.
It might be cool, but it's
You
also
see how the
bizarre.
feathers? You see how the back so the bottom feathers, right?
Uh-huh.
You see how there's long ones and then there's the shorties in the back?
Yeah.
If you look at the long ones on both sides,
Mm-hmm.
they're flat at the tips,
Mm-hmm.
because when they strut, which is exactly what he's doing, they drag their feathers across the ground, and it just like fingernails, right? And just breaks all the tips of all the feathers.
Man.
Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
If you're into that.
well, you know, I don't know about Scottish folks, but you know, I'm fucking into it. So.
Hey, well, yeah. Nah. To be fair, it's not really something I've ever done.
But we've
gone
talked,
hunting.
all right? So you want to go hunting.
Well, I don't know if I want to. I'd shown a brief interest in wanting to do it, but I don't know.
I'll teach you. You've seen the guns. I've got guns.
You got one or two, yeah.
There's
There's
plenty
a bit
of
of an arsenal in here, to be fair.
Well, you know, just in case, right? Just in case we get into a situation.
A situation.
You never know, dude. You never know. I mean, look, we've got a very new government happening right now.
Yeah,
so.
that's true. Yeah, I'll give you that. Yeah, look, man, you're safe. It's me. I'm the one going to Guantanamo Bay
Wow.
if I get caught. You know.
Gitmo.
Yeah, get more. But no, yeah. It's been a while since we've kind of hung out, done anything. You know.
Do we need to like? Does anyone know who we are? We're listening. You know, should we
Depends who we're showing.
run through that?
Letting this podcast listen to, you know. If I showed it to my mum, then she.
Did you
yeah, she knows.
do is it Two Fucking Idiots? Is that what you
Huh?
put on the thing?
What?
The name of the podcast is
No.
we're doing Two Fucking Idiots?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, two idiots. No. Okay, well, for those of you that don't know, I'm Ryan. That's Daniel.
What's up?
And we have tossed around this idea for a little while.
Well, we met, right?
Yeah, almost a year ago. A year ago.
For the
This
summer
month, yeah.
summer play. So
Yeah.
we met mutually through my brother, and kind of.
No, it's over. Actually, thinking about it now, it's over a year ago since you and I met. Because looking at your poster up there, because we met at rehearsals,
Well-
not at rehearsals, at auditions.
That's right.
And looking at your poster up there, May 17th to 18th, so we're nearly almost a year
From
since
performance dates.
since
Yeah.
performance day. So yeah, we've met just over a year ago now. Because I knew your brother, you know, somewhat. I'd just
Met
been
on the play before.
on the play before. Yeah, we'd done a play together, which was my first play. I'd never done any acting before that, and I auditioned for it and I got the part. It wasn't, you know, an exponentially, you know, big part by any means. It was a small part. Character was in and dead within 5 minutes, you know.
But I went to that show, and it was great. You know, it was you guys put it together in the upstairs of a bar, and sold out all 3 nights, I think, almost. And so
yeah, I think the only night, the only one that we didn't really sell as many tickets for was the Sunday matinee show.
right.
But
But by then, everyone had gone to it on Friday and Saturday and told everyone else how shit it was.
No, it's because everybody
and then nobody fucking showed up on Sunday.
No, it's because everybody would rather go and see, go and speak to, Big Man God on the Sunday instead of come and see.
Well, that's why we do the matinees at 2, so everyone has a chance to get out of church and go to it. But
yeah,
if you can't get people there on a Sunday,
no,
I think it's because everybody's.
Yeah,
it was a good show.
Gonna go and speak to Big Man JC.
It was a good show, but we met through my little brother, and pretty much immediately kind of had a kindred spirit.
I think we did, yeah. And I've kind of always found that with me is I kind of click more with people that are slightly older than myself.
How old are you?
I'm 26.
26.
How old are you?
43.
Jesus, your pension's coming in soon. No,
that's all right. I got a lot of wisdom I can impart on you, and I think I like that about you. I think you're very receptive to some of the bullshit that I get to tell you. So.
Yeah, that's for sure. I think it's because I don't have very much common sense myself, So when two fucking idiots get together,
well, it's funny though because you're my brother's same age, and you are. I don't know how you guys clicked. Y'all are 1,000 years apart in
personality,
character,
yeah,
and so.
Well, I think that's it. I think your brother, obviously him and I, coming from very different cultures in a way. Well, not in a way. We do come from very different cultures. That I think with him is that. Where am I going with this? I'm very kind of, I am who I am. I don't kind of, sugarcoat that. Yeah, unapologetically. Yeah. I'm not going to, turn up to an event and be like, oh, hi, I'm Ryan, I'm, God's given child.
Saving face.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm through and through an idiot, but it just is what it is, And I think that's why you and I get along with each other a bit more because you've passed the point in life where you stopped giving a fuck.
Yeah.
As I just culturally don't care.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people round about my age have definitely got this kind of, especially I've found in American folks, is that there's this kind of almost self-consciousness about the way that you present yourself in public.
Yeah.
It's like me being here. Yeah. I'm already different.
Yeah.
And there's no.
Yeah, we do a lot of face saving, I would say, generally. There's a social norm that a lot of people try to adhere to. And then you've got, I guess I want to speak as a majority of people that I run into, that there is a bit of a social norm. And yeah, man, I mean, of course, the way that we all met was through community theater, and that group of people right there, just, absolute degenerate.
Yeah, we're already outsiders, as soon as we go in. But, the thing was, the difference, to be honest with you, between my first audition with the first play that I did in the January of last year, and then the audition that I did for the one that we did in April, was so different, 100%, because I was more comfortable around the people that I was performing with in that sense. I didn't know you. I didn't know who you were. And
I
felt more comfortable. Yeah,
and you were so intimidated.
Yeah, in a sense. I mean, I think that's why the director of the show, who we both know quite well, had chosen for me to be the character that I was in and you to be the character that you were in, because I think straight off the bat there was no denying that there was a chemistry there between the two of us, because I was unapologetically myself in that character, and so were you, and I think that's where this kind of friendship started in a way.
Yeah, because the show that we ended up doing together, we were the two guys that played opposite each other the whole time.
Yeah, I would say that I think all of us had an equal amount of stage presence and stage time. You obviously had more because you were portraying the main character of the show. It was your story. As with my side of the character, it was two stories mixed into one. So it was my story and your story, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So me and you were both the lead kind of protagonists, male protagonists of the show, you know, and it was good.
And to give the audience some context, you know, it was a general manager of a country club, and then this kind of goofy, loopy kid, you know, that was very much younger, that showed up and got involved in golf, and there was a love story there. So, but that was, I mean, it was raunchy and wild, the whole show. It was
really a bit
good.
mental, to be honest with you, considering that I, you know, immigrated over to the United States and had gotten a part in this play. You know, it was different. It was very different to be able to do that, you know, and in all honesty, like I would like to continue doing it.
Absolutely.
I've just been really busy this year, especially. Last year, you know, I was able to dedicate a lot more of my time towards that. This year I've just not been able to, because there's other priorities that are, you know, floating around in the air.
Well, you got married, dude. I mean, let's not like forget the large elephant in the room here. Like, you're a newlywed.
I got married in October last year to the Whiffy, and it was a good day.
That was good. I was there.
You were there. I think you consumed probably an equal amount of alcohol to my father. I mean,
your dad, man. I miss that guy.
My dad was rowdy.
We shared some time there. That was fun.
Yeah, my dad was good fun, and I think there was definitely a bit of a shock.
I was gonna say culture shock for your
culture
whole
shock
family,
for everybody,
right?
But I think culture shock for you guys as well, to have this unhinged Scottish family come in on a wedding day to celebrate, you know, a big moment in, you know, in their child's life, and the amount of alcohol that was consumed between my father, you know, I mean, what a good time he had on that day. I mean, he just didn't stop caring.
So no one in the family had been to America before, is that right?
No, all of us had been to the United States. I mean, I came over to the United States in 2006, 2005. We went on a vacation in Florida. We were in Florida. My dad had been over many a time, and my grandmother had come over, and my uncle, who was there, he'd been over, you know, he's always over here. He's always traveling for something. He's always going on family trips. But the only one that hadn't been over here was my sister's boyfriend.
Oh, right,
you know,
right.
He'd never traveled abroad, you know, so.
Good dude. That was, and they just had well, he wasn't a baby, right? I mean, he was pretty young.
Who?
Your nephew.
My nephew, Reggie. Yeah, so
Reggie.
Reggie was only 6 months old.
6 months.
He was a baby. Yeah, yes. He just turned a year old on Monday. Yeah, so he's like a year old now, which is bizarre to see.
That was cool.
Which was also cool because I'd gotten to meet him for the first time.
Yeah.
You know, because I immigrated over here in late June of 2023, and you know, that was the first time I'd seen my family since then, and got married in October of 2024. Yeah. So just a bit over a year, and it was bizarre, you know, leaving, you know, and my sister's not pregnant. Yeah. And then
you meet her
coming over here,
next time
and then
she's
had a baby, you know, and it was really, really bizarre.
That's wild.
In that sense. But yeah, it was a good day, and, you know, everybody enjoyed themselves. I think the southern folks that were there really got an experience.
Yeah.
Because we had the Piper as well.
You talk about a clash of folks, right? So not only do you have Scottish folks, which as Europeans go, probably a very small minority of Europeans.
Yeah, well, there's only 5 million people in Scotland.
That's right. So then you come to America, and as far as Americans go, you've got this core. Well,
we had the fucking extremes of both ends.
That's what I'm saying.
You know, because the United States is crazy, dude. I mean, me and one of my good friends, Fergus, who you know of, we've both got this theory that the United States is just this social experiment for the rest of the world, because everything here is so fucking over the top. There's no there's no taking it easy with you guys.
Yeah.
You know, and the best way I could probably explain it, excuse me, would be, you know, if you look in Europe, everything's so like elegant, it's so delicate and nice. You know, look at cars, for example. You've got the Ferrari and a Porsche and a Lamborghini, and the television adverts, commercials for them are all like, oh, a Ferrari is very elegant and sweet. You know, it's the fine piece of, you know, engineering and stuff like that. And you come over here and it's just like Ford F-150 built tough. And it's like, wow, this is bizarre.
That's right.
You know, and it's not like it's not a cheeseburger; it's the Whopper.
So let's take a look, right? I mean, historically, you guys have so much rich history and older. You know, we're talking about America, as we know it, is so young. I mean, it's the youngest nation in the world.
Yeah, one of.
And so you guys, Europeans. Just you're ingrained with generation after generation after generation of traditions and history. Well, we don't have that, and the reason that the country was formed was an over the top gesture, right? It was rebellion.
No, it was 100%.
It was, and so yeah. I mean, I'm not trying to connect dots, but I'm saying. I think, you know, we're built for tough and we like it that way. That's
you are, but there's a really strange rhetoric, if that's the right word, I think, with the United States that yous are so proud to be American, but yous have never been more detached from where yous actually came from at the same time.
I feel what you're stepping in,
because I think that like there's this kind of proud American thing, but everybody's also so proud to announce where they actually came from.
You're right.
You know,
right.
and
I rock an Irish.
You've got your Irish flag on your thing,
on
your arm, a tattoo. But I've said to people, they're like, you know, I'm going over to Scotland, and you know, in a few months, like, what should I do? And I'm like, the one thing do not tell people. You're like 1/8 Scottish, and like, oh, why? He's like, I am like 1/8 Scottish, and I'm like, yeah, but we don't give a fuck. Like, we don't care.
Yeah, you're American, dude.
Like we know you're probably 1/8 Scottish, or European because you're fucking white.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah,
it's just like I don't come over here and being like, you know, just to get like you guys know I'm 100% Scottish. You know. That's
a fair point. That's a fair point.
It's like one of these things. It's like, cool, come over, spend your money, boost our economy, and fuck off.
Yeah.
Like, go home.
Yeah. That's,
you know.
It's a really good insight from someone that's not, you know, from here and that doesn't see us every day. And I mean, not you see us every day now, but. You know,
I would say that I'm more observant to the things that are normal to you guys because everything that is around me is not normal. Like the way things are, guns and cars that are lifted like 10 feet off the ground. You just don't have that in the UK. You're not allowed to have that. It goes against every regulation that we have. You can't have a Ford truck that's lifted higher than the average drivable vehicle because there's no such thing as a car crash at that point. It's just a fucking monster truck derby, you know?
Well, I remember when we were riding together, and I didn't even think about it. I didn't think about it at all. And we were in the truck together for the first time driving down the interstate. And I reached down and grabbed my pistol that stays in my truck.
Yeah,
you know?
and I was...
And I thought you were going to shit yourself.
We were just casually driving along, and you're telling a story, and you're like, yeah, man, I got like my heater here. And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah.
Like,
but I'll tell you.
That's not cool.
So you asked about the barbed wire, and I'd like to get and explain that now. So that piece of barbed wire is from the demilitarized zone in South Korea. So when the North Koreans and the South Koreans decided that they were going to create this border there back in the 40s, you know, when the Korean War happened, and South Korea chose to remain democratic, and North Korea decided to stay communist. They have this. They built a fence, and technically, right, physically, there was a barbed wire fence that was the border. And so, as a soldier that goes over, you get to purchase a piece of that.
That's cool.
And keep with you. Now, I don't know if that's even real, but it looks cool.
It is cool.
It reminds me of.
I mean, like I've got a piece of the Berlin Wall.
Right there you go.
I bought from a tourist shop, so it's probably not. There's probably some boy at the back with a block of concrete, fucking smashing it to bits and spray painting it, here is a piece of the wall.
But being in another country like that, spending a year over there, and again, I recognize my color, right, my history, but to be over there and be in a minority was very eye-opening, and it was very humbling. And even if it was skin color or not, culturally speaking, just culturally speaking, being a minority in a different culture is a crazy shock to the system. And it's humbling, and it's
just imagine how I feel.
That's what I mean. Like, you're still white, right?
Yeah.
And we're all white here.
At first glance, I look like an American.
Transparent. Oh,
I know. Yeah. Especially in the wintertime.
You're very clear.
Turn fucking
you
blue.
Have a clear hue too.
Yeah, exactly.
I can see veins and stuff.
I need to go to the beach and bring a welding mask with me.
just stand outside a little bit. Like, that's all it takes.
But. Yeah, I think that you've said there that what it's like to be a minority, and at first glance I look like an American, but as soon as I open my mouth, people are like, hold on a minute, hold on. And I still get issues.
You around people and people that
and it's really funny because I think when people speak to me, it's the highest amounts of concentration that they have in their day.
Yeah.
Because they're looking at me.
Oh, they're so
and you can kind of see people almost, reconnecting to the internet. That dial tone going off when I'm talking.
We had lunch not too terribly long ago, and I had friends there celebrating my birthday. And you showed up, and I remember one of my friends there. I almost said I don't want to single them out, but they were enamored. And just like question after question, and I think I've even gone through this with you at some point, just me and you sitting around talking, but I knew where this was going, and it was question after question. I just wanted to be like, shut up.
Yeah, I know. People look at me like a fucking toddler looking at a disabled person in Walmart.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck is that? What is that?
But yeah, man, I mean, we've been kicking it, man, and just hanging out and trying to, I've got a show coming up. My wife and I are working on.
You're working on Diary of a Wimpy Kid, aren't you?
Yeah. And then this whole production thing for me, IE podcast, IE audiobooks, IE community theater. Like, I'm really trying to go somewhere with this, and very happy to be working on this kind of stuff. It just being
it's good
creative.
fun.
Yeah.
It is, and it's something to do as well, isn't it?
Yeah. For sure.
But
you just finished Fire Academy. Like, what a big swing. I mean, theater to firefighter. That's wild.
I figured that I kind of at the end of the year I was like, shit, I've got to try and be
talk about coming to America and going big.
Yeah, well, this is the thing, isn't it? A lot of people, I've heard them say like, oh, the American dream, it's false. It's like, no, it's not. The American dream is absolutely real. Just regardless of who's in control of the country, the American dream is 100% real.
Yeah.
Like, I've come over here, and in the year, nearly 2 years now since I moved over here, I've already done more in the last 2 years than what I've ever done in my entire life back home in the UK.
That's cool.
There's so much to do here.
That's cool.
There's so much opportunity. Like, for example, I started acting last year, and within the year I'd already, done 7 or 8 different productions, whether it be film
Yeah, you got some film going.
or theater. And in that, and then obviously coming into this year, I was like, right, I kind of need to get my shit together a little bit. You know, I need a full-time career. And I'd looked at a few different things in that, and then I thought, oh, fire department. Let's go and have a look here.
You're like, oh, hey, does anyone know where I could go do some like super badass shit without any regard to my life? I'd really like to just dive as far off the deep end as I can.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, you know, what do you got? And we're like, well, you know, you can't join the army yet, so.
Well, no, I
don't know,
can.
like
I can join. I can join the
firefighter.
army.
Yeah.
I can join the military here. I can't be a policeman. I can't, and there's certain fire departments won't take me because I'm not a U.S. citizen.
Oh, you can't join the police force?
No, because I'm not a citizen.
Oh,
No. I'm an American.
Okay.
What's it called? What do they call you? A permanent resident alien.
Yeah.
But
Just not green.
I'm just not green.
Yeah.
You know. But the present, you know. Apparently, alien is what you guys like to call it.
Well, yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, for whatever reason, we can change the name of UFOs, but we can't change the name of people.
Well, that's like the arrogance of the United States. Is just like, if they are different, then they're from another world,
Right?
And that is 100% it. You
Yeah.
know. But yeah, there's certain places that I just cannot work. They won't have me. You know, even certain fire departments won't have me, which personally I find strange. You know, like I could be a fully qualified fireman. I could be a freaking paramedic.
Yeah.
You know, I could be as qualified as I can be, but because my mother and father didn't shag in the United States, I can't join the fire department.
Listen, I mean, if someone's willing to sacrifice their life, you know, and their physical health and so on and so forth, I think no one should have a problem with them doing whatever it is they want.
You see, this is the thing that confuses me, because apparently immigrants are stealing your jobs, but
That's right.
but there's no jobs for us to steal.
Damn it.
you know, like
Man.
it doesn't make any sense with that kind of, you know, opinion. I don't get it.
But
you know?
if
But
someone,
I'm here legally. You know, I the signatures are on the paper.
Yeah, you guys saw it.
You saw it.
I
you
checked
know,
it out.
I've got the green card. I'm here legally. I'm not stealing your social security.
No, and married now, so
Married to an Arkansan, so I don't know which one's more
that's
fucking
true.
stupid.
That's true.
You know, she married a Scottish guy, and I married an Arkansan. She's lovely. I love her.
She is lovely.
She's alright.
You did well.
She's very she's blissfully ignorant of the world, which I quite like.
Well, and that goes without saying, right? So you are there and available to you know, to help out with that. So no problems.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Give her your perspective and help. I mean, because she, you know, I get a sense of a little bit less social than you.
I mean, yeah, no, I think she's not as much of a social butterfly as me.
Yeah.
I think because people are so interested in who I am and where I come from, it makes me more of a social creature.
Yeah.
You know, I was back home in the UK.
You were just a regular.
I was just a
fuckstick.
regular, you know,
Just
guy.
a regular piece of shit.
Just a regular guy sat at the end of a bar.
Drinking tenants.
Drinking
which I
tenants,
learned.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
My
I was thinking about this
yeah.
yesterday. I knew we were going to be talking, and I was like, you know, I want to ask him why Ireland has all the good shit and Scotland has, you know. And then I was like, well, Scotland's got Scotch, and that.
Oh,
you know,
well, no, Scotch is not Scottish.
wait, we had this conversation.
We have had this conversation. Scotch is not Scottish.
That's right. Okay.
Scotch is the process.
Right.
So soup is essentially a Scotch.
So that's right.
It's just
so
a mix.
It's just whiskey.
It's whiskey. So you got Scottish whiskey, Irish whiskey.
But we Americans
American
like
whiskey.
to call any whiskey from Scotland Scotch.
Yeah.
That's what we like to do.
Yeah.
Because we just can, right? Like we're just those.
You just can, yeah.
We just can. But no, I was thinking about Scotch, and I was thinking about Irish whiskey, And then I thought, I've asked him before, does Scotland not have their own beer? Because you see, how many Irish beers out there.
Mm-hmm.
You go to Irish pubs. There's no Scottish pubs. Why don't you go to a Scottish pub?
And that's kind of
what the hell, dude?
I know, like it does, because me and the missus, we went on our honeymoon in Key West in January of this year, and we walked around, and there was a British bar, and then there was an Irish bar, and then outside the British bar there was the Welsh flag, the Irish flag, the English flag, and the Union Jack, but there was no Scottish flag. And I was like, what? This is absolute sacrilege.
Do we think that the massive migration or immigration back in the day, was there a lot of Scottish people that were immigrating to America, or was it primarily Irish?
No, it was Scottish and Irish.
Okay.
So I think most of that immigration started mid 1700s because obviously we had the kind of freedom wars after what as William Wallace and stuff like that. That was way back in the 1300s. But then there was another one in the 1700s, the Jacobite Revolution against the English.
Outlander.
Outlander.
Yeah.
That's all based around that.
Yeah.
So that's all true. Give or take, the history aspect of it's true. But after the Battle of Culloden, when the Scots lost, the English just rolled in and just started committing genocide, essentially, killing all of the Scots. So a lot of them fled to Ireland to get away from the English oppression, and then from there came across the United States. So there's a lot of places around the United States that, if you go up to like North Carolina, I'm pretty sure the Carolinas are full of McLeods and Smiths and Mackenzies, Frasers, Macintoshes and stuff like that. As down here in the South, not so much. It's more, But then, like,
you got some Connerleys.
You got some Connerleys, and Connerley's Irish, though, is it not?
It is, yeah.
But I mean, like, my wife, her maiden name, no, it's not her maiden name. It was her grandmother's maiden name, was Wallace. And that's very Scottish.
Yeah,
they come from Stirling, I think it was, round about that area, kind of like the Central Belt is what we call it back home. It's the central area of the country. It's called Central Belt. But fun fact there that my wife has done a bit of history digging with her family, and has established that her family, way back, way back, a few hundred years ago, originated in the same town in the north of Scotland that I grew up in, that I'm from.
Oh, shit.
And I did some digging, and one of my ancestors, or a few of my ancestors, way back a few hundred years ago, were all from the same town that her family were from. So there's absolutely no question along the line my family and her family crossed paths with each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then went off in a different direction, probably worked together, went to school with each other, whatnot, whether, that was the thing that they did back then. And then this line has crossed, gone off on a different path, and then reconnected somewhere in the middle. So it's very possible that my children are going to have like 6 toes.
Well, you're in the right spot for that. Yeah.
But then this is the thing with the South. The South is just the over-exaggerated, America. Like, the South is the real United States, I feel.
Yeah.
Because if you go up to New York and if you go to California, Washington, D.C. and stuff like that. I know Washington, D.C. is in the South, technically. But these are all very commercialized, capitalist, kind of areas of the country where you're almost fed this false idea of the world. You're surrounded by billboards and stuff to buy, and this kind of fake Hollywood idea, especially in New York and California. As with the South, is user unapologetically fucking refusing to evolve. Quite frankly.
I thought you were gonna say something. Well, like, the South, everything west of the Mississippi. Now those states and those folks were built on the pioneer spirit. Wanting to get away from the mainstream and leave the hustle and bustle of the city and the traditional colonial way of life and, really set out. I thought you were going a different
But
direction.
it is like
so
that.
Thank you. No, I appreciate
It
that.
is like that because, like, if you go up north, it's very, different, and it's a bit more modernized.
Yeah.
But down here in the south, like, you guys are still hunting on a regular basis.
That's right.
Fishing is a big thing over
right.
here. Building cabins and building buying land and building on land and building an empire and stuff like that. It's the southern way.
Yeah.
Is like, if you go back to, colonialism, it's exactly the same thing is occurring back there as what's happening here. The only difference is you guys have cars instead of horse and carriage.
Yeah.
So you guys can get from A to B faster than what they could, but you are still doing exactly the same thing.
Yeah, and I mean, I think in a sense we relish that. I enjoy hunting so much, and I would say about half of that love is a sense of tradition. A sense of keeping something alive, and especially in 2025, man.
Like EX or especially
EC is how you spell that. Especially when you are seeing what we're dealing with now, with public lands and some of these more important issues we have around hunting and around opportunities to hunt animals in America. But it's very much a conservative thing, a conservation thing with me. I love harvesting animals. I love chasing them. And something that I've always said is you'll almost never find another person more educated on the specific animal than the people that enjoy hunting them.
No, 100%. I mean, I don't know anything about deer and turkeys and stuff like that.
I could write a book on deer.
But then that applies to everything else. Like,
correct.
I'm hugely into Star Wars, for example. Massive Star Wars nerd. I could sit here for hours and tell you everything about that subject, but you probably couldn't tell me as much as I could tell you. But I don't know the first thing about hunting. It's interesting. I mean, it's not, like I said, it's just not something that I've really ever wanted to do.
Right. And
I think I wanted to try it at one point, but then in the end I was like, I don't really
But it's because of that. You didn't grow up with a sense of that being a tradition.
I didn't need to have that.
Yeah, exactly. So you're not, I mean, I would never fault you for, or judging you for being the way you are.
Yeah.
I just would celebrate the fact that I get to show you something like that.
Yeah. I mean, like, I went shooting, I was telling you earlier, I went shooting last week or the week before, because when I was down at the academy, we finished up in class.
Yeah.
And we went to the shooting range.
Uh-huh.
Fucking crazy, by the way. Like, I thought this was going to be a built, facility.
Yeah.
With targets and stuff. This was just an open plain of land in the middle of the woods that somebody put a sign up saying shooting range. And I was like, this cannot be right.
Fuck it.
And we get there and there's these two guys and he's got a revolver. And I'm not used to being around guns. It's because we don't have that kind of exposure in the UK. We just don't. And there's a guy, he's firing a revolver and it was so loud. Like, it was wild how loud it was. I couldn't believe how loud it was, because you watch all these films and there's machine guns and stuff, and it's so loud.
Yeah, it's loud.
And you can, people are like shooting shotguns and rocket launchers and stuff like that, whilst having a conversation with one another. It doesn't work like that. But no, I shot the AR-15.
Yeah.
And Glock 45
nice.
Shotgun. I was terrified of the AR-15 at first.
Yeah, I
was really scared of it.
And it is probably the most least aggressive gun that you could have shot.
Yeah, 100%. But this gun had a scope on it.
I mean, but it didn't recoil.
No, but the problem with me, so the very first time I ever fired a gun, I ended up with a hole in my head because I took the scope to my forehead.
Yeah.
And when I went in to go and fire this AR-15 and it had the scope, I was like, dude, this is going to fucking absolutely rocket off of my head. And I put it down and then I picked it back up. And I eventually mustered up the courage to pull the trigger and fire it, you know, and it was, as soon as that was it, bro.
Listen,
That was it.
I can't tell you.
I've got a video. I'll show you.
Every single person that has gotten into hunting or shooting has had a circle around the orbital socket of their eyeball. It is a rite of passage that everyone must go through.
It is. Here's that video there. But you can see how it's just, I'm not bracing for the...
You're terrified.
I was terrified of it.
Terrified and absolutely giving her hell.
Absolutely insane. But like once I'd fired that, like I was really comfortable with it. But then my buddy that was there, he had a Glock 45 of them, and that was cool.
Yeah.
Like I really enjoyed the pistol. I really enjoyed the handgun.
Different experience.
A different experience. Mm-hmm. I feel like it's just, I don't know. There was something about the Glock that I really enjoyed. You know, the pistol.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, it was good fun.
Well, so what are we thinking? You know, we got messing around with this podcast, and you called me up and you're like, "Hey man, let's record podcasts." I was like, "Yeah, let's do it. I got the shit. Let's talk." You know?
Yeah. Well, like I was saying at the start of this, like this is something that I have kind of wanted to try for a while. Mm-hmm. You know, there's something interesting about just sitting and having a conversation.
Yeah.
You know, as the thing with a movie is people have to sit down and pay attention to a movie. Same with a television show. Same with a book. You have to sit and actually pay attention to a book. Yeah. As the podcast, you can listen to it anywhere whilst you're doing anything. Yeah. And I kind of like that aspect of it, you know. And, you know, I kind of came up with some ideas, sent you some stuff, and I was like, dude, why don't we just, you know, freeball it, see what's what, you know. I think it'd be good fun.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, I guess we're gonna get out.
I'm gonna get out of here. Yeah. I got shit to do.
You got shit to do.
You know.
Hey, we'll come back. We're gonna
try and make this.
We're gonna try to keep talking.
Yeah. We'll try and make this weekly.
Figure out something. Be cool. Absolutely.
You know.
All right. Good to see you, man.
Yep. Bye.